Hello, Exiles. This is Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and welcome to another Path of Exile video. Wait a second. This isn't Path of Exile, and also, looks like I've got a face cam back. Yeah, I've got a webcam back in my videos, so, yep, finally get to see my face again. It's been a while. You may notice a couple of things. This isn't Path of Exile, it's in fact Last Epoch. I've been taking a little bit of a vacation from Path of Exile, and I've been playing this instead. And also, you may notice I have a sock as a pop filter on my microphone. Don't worry, it's clean. It works pretty well. My other pop filter didn't seem to be working that well. This one seems to be working okay. It was at least clean when I put it on like 2 months ago, so maybe I need to trade it out for another clean sock. Also explains why I have so many mismatched or unmatched socks, probably. But yeah, I've been playing some Last Epoch. It's got a lot of things that Path of Exile players have been asking for, and it's been a pretty fun experience. I have a bunch of characters. I actually have had it before this last couple of weeks, but I only played through the campaign once. I think it was on this character. So I played like one character, and all of these other characters basically I've been playing since, well, just this last couple weeks. I've got a level 54 hardcore character that I'm working on. I got some solo characters. One of the things that Path of Exile players have been asking for is a way to kind of skip through the campaign and have an alternate leveling method. And on this character in particular, I wanted to see if you could do that in Last Epoch. I was aware that we had the ability to do this. So after a certain point in the campaign, you go and basically get your ascendancy class. So every class has three different classes they can spec into beyond their initial class. And you can kind of spec into the first half of the skill tree of all three classes. Some of them only have two that are available, but they will all have three at some point. And yeah, I just decided to take this character, and right around level 25 or 23 or something like that, I went right into the end game, and I decided to go right into the level 58 mapping type area, and I've just been leveling through there. So currently I'm on level 85 content, and yeah, I haven't finished the campaign at all, so I'm missing a lot of skill points. I'm missing idle slots. So the way Last Epoch works is it's by doing the campaign, you get a bunch of extra skill points to put in your skill tree, and you also unlock through various quests these idle slots, which are basically like charms from Diablo 2. They give you various different bonuses and everything. So you have that. Another thing that Last Epoch has is Deterministic Crafting with the best possible items dropping from the ground. So as you can see, I have some of these purple items, and what the purple means is for your regular items that you can craft, you can go up to tier 5 as far as your affix, like your suffix and prefix rolls. And they scale up pretty hard through the first 5 different tiers, but then they can scale even further. You can get tier 6 drops, I believe starting from like level 50, and then starting at level 90, you can get tier 7 drops. So as you can see, I have a tier 6 increased throwing attack damage roll on the shield, a tier 6 increased throwing attack critical strike chance, and a tier 6 increased physical damage on this one, and then tier 6 endurance threshold on this belt here. So I believe that's all I have here. Yep. So I have a bunch of rolls that are better than anything that I could craft. But you can actually take items and you can craft them. And I'll kind of show an example of that. And basically the idea is you can get pretty strong items, strong enough to basically get you all the way through to level 100 content, just without even having to worry about these. And then later on, once you get to that level 100 content, it scales up quite a bit. Basically, getting to level 100 content similar to getting to like red maps in terms of difficulties, meaning you can do it with like a hodgepodge of characters. But if you really, really want to push, you're going to have to like do corruption and stuff, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. But let me just take an example. So here I have boots that I might want to craft. I think I don't really want dodge ratings, but I think I'll just use them. Maybe I have something I can use as a better example here of something. Let's see, anything good. And that's about as good as I'm probably going to get. Yeah, so I'll just take these boots. And so when I go to craft them, I go into the forge. You can access this anywhere by pressing F. And you can see I have tier 4 strength, tier 2 movement speed, tier 2 armor, and tier 1 dodge rating. If I wanted to, I could YOLO and try to remove the dodge rating by using a rune of removal. I'd have a 1 in 4 chance of getting rid of that, but it would add something called instability. And instability is what kind of balances this crafting system. As you get increased instability, your chances of basically being unable, so you'll fracture the item, and I'll show you what a fractured item looks like. If it's fractured, it can't be crafted on anymore. So currently, if I take these boots and try to upgrade my strength with no modifiers or nothing on here, I have a 67% chance to upgrade, a 25% chance to cause a minor fracture, which does nothing except make you not able to craft any further, an 8% chance of a damaging fracture, and then 0% of destructive. I believe destructive just outright destroys the item. Damaging removes one of the tiers on one of the on the item. So for instance, if I were to get that 8% chance right now, I might lose a tier of movement speed. So it would go down to tier 1 movement speed, and that would be very not good. But you can use these glyphs. One of them lowers the amount of instability that is added to the item by up to 60%, and the other of which makes it so that you are unable to you have a reduction in the chances of getting fractures. So for instance, if I wanted to upgrade this movement speed, I have an 82% chance. I might use a glyph of stability because my chances of getting the higher one are still 82%. And that would, instead of getting 5 instability, which is the baseline for a craft, you always get 5, I only got 4 in that case. And I might do that again for like the dodge rating, even though I'm not using that. And once it becomes a little more risky, you can put in a glyph of the Guardian, which increases the chance. So even going from tier 4 to tier 5 with the 16 stability is an 84% chance. I got a critical success, which also gave me armor, which is really nice for only 5 stability. And then I would want to go movement speed, and there you go. I finally fractured it. And it was a minor fracture, but these are considerably better now. Now I got a tier of strength, a tier of dodge, a tier of armor, and 2 tiers of movement speed on these boots. Made them quite a bit better, and so now I have a total of 30 movement speed. You may also notice that the implicits are actually significantly better. So, for instance, this dagger gives a lot of different implicits. You can see those on the top. 28 melee physical damage, 3% critical strike chance, and that's global base. So like there's the percent. For instance, this gives almost 200% chance of getting a crit with throwing attacks. This would be 3% to the base. So the baseline for everything in the game is 5% chance to crit. This would add 3% to everything, meaning it goes from 5 to 8%. So if we just took the 200% from this, instead of going from 5% up to 15% crit chance, I would go from 8 to 24. So that's actually very considerable. If you play Path of Exile, you definitely understand how powerful base crit can be. A lot of people try to add base crit with the new critical strike support or anything like that. Lots of good stuff there. Oh, and I also have this really, really good Jade Amulet, which has crit multi, increased throwing attack damage. I didn't even show this one, and then double resist. So really good stuff there. Obviously, I have extremely low health for being for doing level 85 content, but you can kind of struggle your way through things, and part of that is the lack of skill points. A lot of the health that you'll get, usually, or resistances you can kind of trade off, is gotten from your idols. Or your idols can also just give you special things. Like this one gives a 75% chance to shred armor on hit with throwing attacks. That's actually huge. This one gives 4% health and 25 flat health. So I go from 877 to 938. So getting a few of these could be very, very strong for my low health. But I'll just kind of show you what this looks like. So this is the Monolith of Fates. The way it works, it's kind of like the endgame mapping system. You start off kind of at this little center area, and you're given like different branching paths, and the idea is to get farther and farther away from the starting area to generate stability. And once you have a certain amount of stability, you can attempt the quest echoes, which always culminate in a boss fight. And the boss fight can be pretty difficult, and it will unlock the next kind of monolith. So for instance, once I defeat the boss here, I'll go up here and I'll be able to access the 3 level 90 ones. And once I beat the 3 level 90 ones, I'll open up the ability to run empowered monoliths. And those are very, very fun and very, very strong. So, boy, all of these I want to take. So each node has a reward type you can do, and also will add a modifier. And these modifiers carry on to the boss. So the next one I defeat will be a boss fight. So I have a couple of choices here. I can either go for a boss fight that'll reset my echo, making it more difficult if I were to fail this quest to get back to it, because then I'd have to do it all over again. But I would have no modifiers on the actual boss fight. I'm going to try that. I want to show off a boss fight while I'm here. So let's get into the boss fight. The boss that the Echo of Worlds that reset your echo and add corruption, which basically corruption will give you a baseline more monster damage and more monster health, but it'll also give you a baseline rarity and experience gain. So in order to do that, and plus bosses have actual like drops. The drops, uniques are kind of tied. There are world drops, but then there are also, I got the, this is a little bit scary. Yep. Yeah, this is a little bit of a scary fight, his skills that he has. I believe I have very little poison resist, and it looks like he has some poison, so I'll have to be very careful. Try not to stand on the thing, but yeah, as you can see, I just throw hammers. This is basically, it's literally a hammer paladin, a hammer throw paladin. So it is a hammered in from Diablo 2. Diablo 2 Resurrected is out. I have not gotten that. I played a lot of Diablo 2, like growing up and everything, but I'm kind of, nope, okay, I died. So yeah, unfortunately having low health, but as you can see, all the attacks in the bosses are very, very telegraphed. So you actually have the ability to dodge around. I just did not do that. I was a bit slow, unfortunately. And once again, I'm over 10 levels underneath and very, very, very under prepared for this. And if I wanted, I could just go do the campaign now. But the whole point of bringing on this character was to show you that you have the option to skip the campaign if you want, which is really cool. By beating the monoliths, you also get little bonuses. So like for instance, for beating this one, I got a blessing that gives me leech rate, increased experience on this one, lightning resist on this. So they all give kind of different ones, like some of them will give different drop rate. I'll show off all of the different ones that I have on one of my other characters, my higher level character that's actually completed all the monoliths. So I have a primalist here, and this is my werebear, perma werebear primalist, which is a very, very simple build, but it's very strong, very simple. It's kind of a 1 or 2 button build. The idea is I turn into a werebear, and normally my mana would drain and I'd go out of being a werebear when I leave. but because the way it works is I actually regain mana every time I crit, and I have 100% melee critical strike chance, 110% actually. So yeah, I have extremely high crit chance, so I can stay as a werebear forever. But when you go into your character sheet, you can look at your blessings. I got increased unique drop rate, increased helmet drop rate, health, chance to bleed on hit, prefix shard drop rate, increased stun chance, which actually plays into my build in a huge way, increased two-handed polearm drop rate, class-specific shard drop rate, armor, which is also huge on this build, and chance to apply frailty on hit, which is a nice little defensive mechanism. So I've got a lot of stuff going. A lot more health, a lot more defenses on this character, almost max res on everything, and a lot of armor, and the armor goes way up with some other mechanics that I'm not super keen to explain at the moment, but yeah, you can kind of see what my idols do here. So this character actually gets, even though he uses melee attacks, he gets a bunch of melee damage and crit chance from spell damage. So I'm stacking a lot of spell damage on this character. And then I have some like health hybrid health stuff. Get a bunch of resistances, damage resistances, a lot of stuff like that. So as you can see, you can get some pretty useful stuff on the idols, and that's your incentive to actually go beat the campaign along with the extra skill points. But yeah, these are currently all the monoliths. They kind of go up. The progression system's pretty nice, but I would say I'm going to go in and compare it a little bit to Path of Exile again. One of the things I like about this compared to Path of Exile is it's got a lot of like the game guides in here. You can search for anything. So let's say if I wanted to see what shock did, I would type in shock. It tells me exactly what shock does. It's very simple. Basically, like everything in the game is in here. The other thing is it has extremely customizable loot filters that you can just add in. So I'm hiding a bunch of stuff. I'm specifically, like right now I'm looking for an eagle wing with specifically certain affixes. So I'm looking for like melee physical damage, melee attack speed, stun chance, crit multi, stun chance again. So and then like various ailments, armor shred specifically. But yeah, so I'm looking for very specific items, and that will be emphasized, meaning capitalized, and recolored to white. So whenever I see a white item drop, it's not a common item on this character if it's all in caps and it's white, and you can hide so much from that as well. Like I have basically, I took this from a YouTuber called Boardman21, so shout out to him. He helped me learn a lot about the games. And then I modified it, hid some of the lower tier stuff, and changed some things to kind of suit what I'm looking for. I've also made my own loot filters for like leveling up a character when I'm only looking for specific items that'll be useful for me type thing. So, and you can change it as you level too. Like say I'm looking for a certain I can look for certain tiers. So like this kind of automatically scales up with the color system, but I for instance I could just make it so that I'm looking for a certain affixes, and I keep upping as I level, like every 10-15 levels or so. I can up the level of the affix. So I could start by looking for any tier 1 or higher of a certain affix, and then later go in and change it. So I could just pop in here and say, okay, this is looking for any with at least one of any of these 28 affixes. I'd go to advanced, and I could say with at least more than or equal to tier 3. Once I'm like level 40 or something, I only want to see ones that are tier 3 or higher. So I'm basically setting myself up to get higher quality items as I level up. Just takes a couple of seconds. It's very easy. It looks complex. Another thing that it does is it allows you to look at all the affixes. So for instance, when I go in here, I can know exactly what I'm looking for because right from the beginning of the game, right when I start, I know everything that can drop on an item. I can say, okay, I want to build a bleed character. What's everything in the game that has to do with bleeds? I type in bleed on top. got chance to bleed. I got shared bleed chance on hit, shared increased bleed duration, shared bleed effect. That's specific to the Acolyte. Minion chance to bleed on hit, shared bleed duration. Duration's really good. And yeah, anything like that. And you can also find them on idols. So like Primalist idols, chance to bleed on cold hit. That's pretty interesting, but it is a thing. Minion chance to bleed on hit. Chance to bleed on melee hit for you and your minions, melee bleed duration for you and your minions. So I can, let's say I want an idol, I can have idols highlighted as well and look for a very specific idol. So there's lots of cool things. You have access to all of the information in one place. Don't need to go to POEDB, don't need to go to POE, anything like that, wiki, none of that stuff. It's all right here. Now, what does Path of Exile do that's better than Last Epoch? Well, frankly, still a lot of things. Last Epoch, another good thing I'm going to mention, my computer runs about 10 degrees cooler while playing Last Epoch as compared to Path of Exile. That means maybe I can stream Last Epoch, which is something I can't really do for Path of Exile anymore because my computer's getting old and my computer kind of overheats when I do it. Last Epoch, I could stream this. Let's see. The uniques are kind of a lot more niche. Like almost all of the uniques kind of fit into a very specific build. You can get a little creative with them, but for the most part, I don't look at a unique when it drops and think, oh, think of all the different things I can do with this unique. I think of, oh, well, this Cinder Song, I can basically only use it on a fireball. Otherwise, I may as well just use a rare. Or like, there's certain very specific situations for a lot of these uniques. They don't kind of awaken your imagination as much as the uniques in Path of Exile can. Like, there's a lot of things in Path of Exile because of the way the build diversity in Path of Exile works, where you have certain combinations of items or certain items that drop and you really think, wow, I can do so much with this. There is so much that this can bring to the table. So it's kind of lacking in the item department, but instead of support skills, I didn't even mention this. This is actually huge. Instead of support skill gems, we actually have skill trees within each specific skill. So you can specialize in up to 5 skills. To be honest, I don't use this bear at all, and I don't know what to put in this 4th one. I have some idols that I've thought about using that drop avalanche on melee attacks, so I might specialize into avalanche and take out some of my small charms for that. But yeah, you can go into here. For instance, this werebear form, there are some really special things. So while in werebear form, increases to spell damage, also apply to melee damage. And then while in werebear form, increases to spell damage, also apply to critical strike chance. This is huge. This is insane. This completely changes the way that you play this character, this werebear character. And then you can set it up for utility, like for instance, Ice Thorns here. I have it set up so that I have a chance when I get hit to cast it, and then instead of shooting out, Ice Thorns is supposed to be the spell that like shoots out. Instead, it becomes Ice Thorn Shield that gives me armor, and I can get a bunch of these. If I get hit, like I have a 20% chance here and a 20% chance here. If I have like 10 things hitting me, each have a 40% chance, I'm going to get like 4 stacks of Ice Shield or Ice Thorn Shield. They're each going to give me 140 armor, plus it's going to be multiplied by my percent armor. I can go from over 2,700 armor up to like 4,000, 4,500 armor, and I all of a sudden become an absolute tank. Mitigate all sorts of mitigation. And the great thing about armor in this is it mitigates all damage type from hits. Not damage over time, but from hits. So it's only 70% as effective. So against physical damage, I take 48% reduced damage here. I also have other buffs just from attacking to my armor, so I'll kind of show. But if I go attack this training dummy, which is another thing I need to mention, you can see my armor goes up to 3,300, which is pretty big. 54%. So I go from, I'll wait for this buff to drop off. I go from 48 to 54% damage mitigation. And it applies to all non-physical sources as at 75% of the effect. So 33% additional damage mitigation on top of my resistances. Plus I have really crazy leech on this build as well, which is one of the other nice things. So yeah, you get some cool customization coming specifically from the ability to do this. Like I have Kill Threshold, which is Culling Strike on my main attack automatically. 14%. That's a 14% more damage multiplier. And you have like generic more swipe deals more damage multiplicative with other modifiers. For instance here, I'd like to put in more points on this, and it gives 4% health leech too. Pretty crazy. This increases the damage in area, and once again, it's a more damage multiplier. And then I can get like crit chance and crit multi, global attack speed while I have aspect of the panther, which I get just from attacking. Lots of cool stuff. And I could change my claw into a lightning attack. I could, do all sorts of interesting things. Deals more damage and slows enemies, but it has a cooldown. So you just can fundamentally change the way that a build functions using that. It's really cool, but I feel like the itemization is lacking. Despite the fact that it is deterministic crafting, you can make whatever you want. Like I just go to the gambler here and say I wanted a Doom Star. I would just type in Doom. I'd refresh it a few times until I get one. And the reason for using a Doom Star is because it has implicit critical strike multiplier up to 90%, which is insane. It's a level 70 plus item. I would get it. I would roll it. This doesn't have what I want, and it has a low crit multi, so I'd get rid of it. But yeah, I could just gamble a bunch of times, get a craftable magic, white, or like sometimes even a rare will have enough of the items that I want on it. Let's see if I can use this as an example. Okay, so let's pretend I really wanted just crit strike chance, percent crit strike chance. I can take this and turn it into the weapon that I want to use. I just go in here, you get prefix shards, they drop, and you can also salvage items basically using this Rune of Shattering, which will give you shards based on everything that comes out. And let's say I just want more crit multi. So I would go here. I'd probably put on a Glyph of Stability in order to decrease the stability. Chance to Ignite wouldn't be good on this build, but there you go. I do this a couple of times. I'm kind of wasting stuff here, but that's okay. There, I have tier 5 crit multi on here. This gives me 112 or something crit multi, and tier 5 crit chance, 70% crit chance. Now, if I put this on, it would lower my DPS from 28,000 to 20,000, so this wouldn't be good. The flat melee crit and the melee attack speed are much better for my build because it means that I have max crit chance 100%, as well as I just need attack speed. More attack speed is another more multiplier. But just for example, I have 2 tier 5s on here now, and this would be a perfectly serviceable weapon in a lot of cases. And if I didn't need it anymore, I simply shatter it, and I get 5 critical strike multi shards and 1 crit chance multi shard, or crit chance shard. So get my stuff back for crafting. It's really good. It's a really fun game. If it's something that you're possibly interested in, if you want to change your pace until the new league starts, and you don't want to play Diablo 2 Resurrected because either you don't like Diablo, you're not supporting Blizzard right now for various reasons, anything like that, Last Epoch is what I would recommend. I think out of all of the alternative action RPGs I've played, which is quite a few, I think Last Epoch is the one that's resonated and brought the most fun for me for the longest period of time. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed. This has been Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I will see you next time. Bye.